Bobby, Joe, old Spaghetti Steve here. Just thought I'd call and let you know I'm here to drink scotch and eat crotch. And I'm all out of scotch.
Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef is here. We got Jigs. We got Biggs. We got Who the Fuck is Joe Brown with us. We got a whole bunch of jig heads in the live. We've been talking already, and it has been something. I'm telling you. Yes, your boy Bobby Roast Beef has been going hard with the chill steel pipes delivery that he received this week, and I'll talk more about that. We had a great conversation last week with Justin Johnson. It's been a wild week, and the realization has come to me that 2025 is halfway over as we record this anyway, and it's just been insane, and I don't know necessarily how I feel about that. We're going to talk about that, and something happened today that I'm not really excited about. I'm really not, and I want Joe's organic sort of reaction to this, and we'll talk about that when we get there. We got a great live well. We got two really great questions in there from Jig Heads, and if you guys are interested in what we're doing here, go ahead, or you like what we do, share this show with your friends, guys. Hey, happy Independence Day, everybody. Happy birthday, America. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. Much more coming up after this. Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and get right to it, Joe. I got to tell you what I did today. I went out today. We'll get to the fishing in a bit with that. I put a fucking bad dent in my boat today. I was coming in a little too hot at the ramp, and it was a ramp that I've fished at many times and just kind of overestimated. Didn't realize how hot I was coming in, and there's a couple of little, like, I'd say curbs or guides that come down on this ramp that are concrete, and I put a nice fucking ding in that boat. Not fun. Not stoked.
Not the bow, is it?
It's. Were you talking about on the boat? Yeah.
With the oxbow?
Oh, no. That's nice and wide. I'm talking about Big Alum.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about Big Alum.
Oh.
You know exactly where I'm talking about.
Yeah, Big Alum's squirrely, man.
It's one of the things. I think I've fished there like half a dozen times since I got the boat. And I'm like, I just overestimated. I was like, I didn't see it coming in. Didn't realize how quickly I was coming in. Man, I'm not psyched about that. It doesn't look like it's an issue where I've got to worry about leaking or anything like that. It's just ugly.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So here's the silver lining, Bobby.
It's aluminum.
It's a good thing you got an aluminum boat, because if it was a fiberglass boat, you'd have a hole in your boat.
I'd have problems. Yeah, exactly. You're 100% right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's one of those things. I'm like, motherfucker. I don't know what I can necessarily do about it, if I have to do anything about it. Right off the rip, I'm going to take a closer look at it. With a flashlight and when it gets dark, and see what I can see. But so far, I think everything is all right. Fucked up that nice fucking finish.
Shoot a picture over to Matt.
Yeah, that's what I figure I'm going to do.
He'll kind of tell you, like,
I'm sure
he won't bullshit shit.
No,
if it doesn't need to be touched, he'll tell you. If he's legitimately like worried about it, he'll tell you.
Yeah. And I know, that's the thing that's part of the reason why I got the Lund specifically, is because I know I've seen some of the tests that they've been put through. These hulls are pretty fucking amazing. So I'm like, it is what it is, but it's just that it's fucking ugly. And I'm like, God damn it. It's not the first dent, but it's the worst dent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So not a fun one. Todd,
I got you.
Todd Sefton's in here. He says Friday off, man. Bitches. Absolutely Friday off. Independence Day. Here we are, man. It is today as we record this. It's the last day of June. That means that the year's half done, Joe. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Half the year's already gone by. And I mean, it's been a great year for fishing, but like, I can't believe that shit. I'm like, I feel like 2025 just started, you know?
Oh, dude, it's gnarly. And like, July is a super busy month for me. Like,
oh, sure.
You know, I'm hoping I'm going to get some good fishing in, but I got a lot of traveling to do in July. So we'll see. But I did talk. Yeah, I did talk to Taylor. I might be doing a little bit of fishing down in Florida. We'll see.
Oh, in July?
Just might be a little peacock bass action happening.
All right. Yeah, that's about the month I don't want to be in Florida, but I could see the draw, you know?
100%, dude. 100%. Yeah. I don't know why they do iCast in the middle of the summer. It makes zero sense to me. It's like the middle of the fishing season for most people. Like, you think they do it like fishing expos do, where they do it like before the season starts, so they can like, you know, have that new release shit. You have your retailers, whatever, see it, decide if they want to put it in the shop. Then once the season hits, it's there.
No, maybe that would make too much sense. That's too logical. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah. But now my sweaty fat ass has got to be down in Florida in July.
I mean, there are worse things, you know. There are, I suppose, there's worse. At least you're there fishing. It's not like you're there.
I mean, and that's the thing. I'm going to fish like that one time. I'm just going to be in that building the whole time. But I'm not complaining because iCast has been on my bucket list. I'm super excited to go.
Oh, for sure.
And then like literally I get back on the 18th, got to do my laundry and stuff. And then I head back on the plane the 19th over to Newport Beach, California. So,
oh, geez. That's right. Yeah. That's when your California trip is. That's right.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it got pushed a week forward. So it's like, so now I'm in Florida 1 week and then California the next. So,
jeez, that is freaking bananas.
Might try to bring a rod there with me too. We'll see.
I would, man. I mean, you know what? Actually, I have a couple of telescopic travel rods. If you want to take those, I've got a medium light spinning and a medium heavy bait caster.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. They're, I think.
Okay.
I want to say they're Cast King Blackhawk. They're actually pretty decent. Like I've caught decent fish on both of them. And I was like, I'm like, this will be great for like when I got these so I could put them in like a hiking backpack. And that way I could have some gear.
Sure.
You know, when I decide to go and like just walk around wherever without having to like carry rods with me.
Yeah.
Just have them in my pack. But man, that is freaking nuts. That is freaking nuts. Well, let's talk about the fishy shit. And there was some fishy shit. I mean, when did we record last? We recorded last Monday. I had gone out a couple of times. I had gone out, I guess, Saturday, and then today were the days I had primarily gone out. Saturday, I went and I hit the river for the first time. Hit Oxbow with my buddy Paul. And it was just a multi-species freaking marathon. I couldn't get anything to bite anything like conventional size. So like throwing like, you know, downsized bladed jigs, and that got bit quite a bit. I was also throwing around like tiny like finesse jigs and stuff. And I put a couple of bass in the boat, a huge yellow perch, a couple smallies. I caught my first BFS pike. That was a thing.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I saw that. That's rad.
Yeah, it was. I saw this thing like, and I took a cast. I was fishing this one spot near the marina, and there's a bunch of these rocks and like, you know, trees underwater and stuff. And I'm like, this is just sketchy and stupid to throw this bait over here. So I make a cast, and I'm fully expecting like there to be a largemouth deep in cover or something like that. Nope, this pike comes up and right off the bank, it goes broadside. And I could see it was probably about 18, 20 inches. It wasn't a big pike, but it was a strong pike. Like it was pulling drag for a little while. I wish I had brought my cameras for that. I really do. And I just, for whatever reason, didn't roll any stuff on video there, but it's all good. I went out today and I fished a local spot out your way, and I did okay. I just didn't get any quality, you know, just no quality. How did I do? I did probably 8 or 10 only like 2 or 3 largemouth. Everything else was smallmouth. And they were just like kind of finicky, like with what they wanted. And I had a good time. But the main reason why I went out is because I wanted to actually go out and give that alternate camera view a workout and see what I could do with it. And I started editing the video from it. Man, what an amazing... It's so nice to have something to cut to that's a different perspective. Like there's points where I got my first topwater fish of 2025 today. Throwing of all things an arc walking bait.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I
love the arc walking baits.
They're nice.
They're solid walking baits.
The hard baits in general are really, really pretty fantastic. Yep. Like I would put them on par with like something like a 6 Sense or something like that. And this was
100%. The market's just not as big.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Or they don't market if they marketed them better.
Oh,
I think they'd take off pretty good.
Yep. 100%. And they're honestly, I think they're competitively priced. You know, like you can get into one of their hard baits for like $6 to $8, something like that. It's pretty cool. It is. It is pretty darn cool. Dave just sent me a video. I'm some kind of an unboxing. I'm obviously gonna have to watch it later, but man, crazy stuff. So yeah, I got that fish. I had some fun editing that one, cutting between the 2 camera views for like the hook set and like, when I walk away from the casting deck of the boat, like that was something that always bothered me with my videos. I'm like, it's just the empty casting deck and you can hear everything with the mics and everything. Now there's at least that like behind where you see the entire boat. And it's pretty slick. It's pretty slick. I like it. I'm happy with it. I just have to.
Did you use the same editing software?
I did. Same thing.
So did you just do the multi-camera clip in there?
I didn't. I haven't tried that yet. I was just old schooling it.
Oh my gosh, dude. It makes it so much easier.
Oh, really? Do you have to sync your cameras?
Dude, that's what I do with all. No, you don't sync it. They do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you just make sure you put, make sure the videos were around the same time type deal.
Yep.
You always put the one that you want your sound coming from on the main line.
Yep.
And then the other one on the top, you select them together, hit the you right clicked.
Yep.
You right click and it says create multi-camera sequence or something like that. Takes a couple minutes and it syncs everything.
Really? That's freaking awesome. Dude. Now, let me ask you this. How do you record your stuff when you're out on the water? Are you recording all cameras? They're just on and like it's a full card every time you do it?
No. So my back one's always running.
Yeah.
Cause that one's hooked into power all the time. And I have a large card for that. That'll get me 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then my chest rig, I usually, because I'm always swapping that out because of batteries and stuff. Sure. And if I'm like, I turn it off if I'm like running to a different spot, stuff like that. So I'm always but what I do is like to make sure that I put the 2 same like clips on, I just use the timestamp.
Oh, all right. Okay. That might help. See, I'm also using 2 different types of cameras. I'm using one GoPro and one DJI.
Yep. As long as you have the timestamps on there and they're like accurate.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
I'll have to fool around with that because I do. I use the GoPro that's right next to me. That's reachable. Like they're both on power. I take the batteries out of both, and dude, it is so nice. It was 90-something degrees today while I was out there, and no overheating whatsoever with those cameras. Take those batteries out, man. It makes a big difference, and it makes them lighter
with that multi-camera clip.
Yep.
Yeah, with the multi-camera clip, you just it syncs them all, and then you play it. And as you're playing it, you just use the 1 and 2 to like it. And that's like you click 1 because you want that camera. Like, okay, I want this other view. So you click 2, then you go back to 1 or what. It's just kind of like you probably did when you worked in TV.
And you do it. You basically direct it live. That's fucking awesome. I'm gonna have to tinker with that. I'm gonna go through it. I think because I really like the way I've been doing it. Like I've been just dropping markers and moving pieces and like you can really nitpick with it. But I'm going to fool around with that. That might be something kind of interesting because I've got no issues.
It just streamlines it, dude. It makes it so much easier. It makes the editing much quicker.
That is freaking bananas, man. I lost my last juvie craw today. It's a sad day.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a sad day. It put in work. You know, I mean, I caught a bunch with them, and then I couldn't find something similar that was going to get bit. I tinkered with different Neds, I tinkered with different finesse jigs, and all kinds of stuff. And what the stupidest thing, what ended up getting it done, was an EWG Ned head, like a 16th ounce, a little bit lighter, so that way it wasn't getting hung up on the rocks. So and it would also slow the fall. And I was throwing a double trouble from J+Bros. And that little plastic, I was actually using it as what it was intended for a Ned, and it was getting bit pretty goddamn good. It was pretty awesome. Like I was running a finesse swim bait around a bunch of rocks, and if I got bit, once I found that there were fish, then I would just pick that rock pile apart, throwing this Ned in there. I didn't.
Gotcha.
It was. I think the 16th ounce was the move, because it was just a slow enough fall that would get hit pretty good. But then it wouldn't like immediately sink down in between rocks and get hung up. And I was able to free that one up pretty good. So that was pretty badass. I'm going out the rest of this week. I'm not sure. I have a lot of shit going on. I'm actually recording a segment with Ryan Fish from Boat Snacks. You ever hear of that company, Boat Snacks?
I don't think so.
I've heard of them in passing a couple of times. They do some like more ingredient conscious, like more like clean ingredient type snacks, protein snacks for anglers.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love their branding. They have one, and we're going to talk about it in this interview, but they just released this new product. They're jerky bites, and they call them their jerk baits. And I'm like, yes. I'm here.
Oh, I gotta check them out. I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. So I was like, that's pretty cool. And then I've got a doctor's appointment on Wednesday, so I'm not going to be fishing on Wednesday. And then on Thursday's a little bit up in the air, but definitely I'm going out Friday. I don't have trivia on Friday, so I'm going out.
Yep.
Like I don't care what kind of ridiculousness there is. I'm talking about possibly going and fishing with Becca. And my oldest may join me. I'm not sure. She mentioned it. I was like, yeah, you want to fish next week? And she's like, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. But she hasn't really committed to it. And I'm like, all right, we'll figure it out. I have an idea where I want to fish.
You just got to be careful. You got to be careful about where you're going.
That's exactly it.
Because it is the holiday.
Yep. It's one of the big ones where all the idiots show up. Speaking of idiots. In our FTG segment, we're going to talk about a video that was sent to me by one of our jig heads, by the Wolf of Walmart, and we'll discuss some of that. And some pretty craziness went on in a marina. I'm not sure exactly where. I want to say it was Florida. It seems like all this shit happens in Florida. But yeah, we'll have a chat about that. That'll be pretty good. And then I got a package this week. This right here, you'll notice it matches my truck. It is this is that double wall insulated water bong that I spoke with Justin Johnson about last week from Chill Steel Pipes, and I've put this thing through its paces. Now this is what was so cool. Not only did I get this right, but what's cool is this whole thing is modular, right? You can take it apart and clean every single piece of it. So like the neck comes off right here. It's got this little gasket on there, so it won't spill water or anything like that. But there's a cap that goes right in here, and this is the double wall insulated portion. So you fill this with ice and water. And Joe, I don't know if you remember in high school or college maybe but ice cold bong rips.
No, I don't remember any of that.
Of course not. We're gonna have to break your cherry when it comes to retirement.
Yeah.
But what's cool is you can pack this up, put the cap in it, and there's a plug that goes right in here where the downspout comes out. Like the downspout's removable, cap goes right in there. It's totally sealed, and it'll hold ice for 24 hours. It'll hold and keep it cold. So if you're camping or hiking or you're out, just outdoors, it'll stay cold. So that way when you're ready to celebrate, or unwind, it's all there for you. But even the downstem, it's 4 different pieces, and you can customize the size. But what's cool about this is there's another Another reason why I thought this was so cool, there's like an add-on that you can put on, and I had to have it. It's a hookah modification kit. So, I mean, there was a time where doing bong rips like with a piece like this all day long were not an issue for your boy. You know what I mean? But that's a bit much. This thing hits hard. It kicks like a mule, It really does. The hookah end of it basically cuts down on the volume that's in there, and there's a plug, a silicone plug that goes right into this spot here. You screw it in, and then you take the down stem and you put that right in here, and then there's a hose that you connect right up to where your downspout would go when it's in bong mode, and you can just nurse little hookah rips all day long. Nice and chill. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. So I have a trip that I'm working on in Jersey with Bandit Fishing and YP the God, and we're gonna go and fish. And what I am being told is one of New Jersey's best lakes. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's the equivalent of somebody going like, we're going to go out for a really good steakhouse. Let's go to Longhorn. And if that's the situation, I'm going to respond with a but we'll see how it is. It should be pretty good. Eli says, and this is what I love. Eli says, what's a hookah? I know what a hookah is, but I don't know how it's different. So a hookah is generally like there's a spout, like a hose, that you will use as the mouthpiece. It doesn't have such a large chamber, so it doesn't hold as much volume of smoke. So when you take a rip off of that, you're getting much less. And it's a little bit more palatable, I find. Hookah also is like there's a million different flavors that you can utilize. I mean, it's tobacco, and I even asked Justin. I was like, can you modify the bowl so you could get the ceramic piece and get the coal and everything, and just let that sit there and not even have to light it? He's like, you could. You definitely could. He's like, I think that most people, for our purposes, are not doing that, but you for sure could use it like a legit hookah. But yeah, it's pretty badass. I'm a fan. I've used this since it's shown up, and it shows. I feel like I've outed myself here. Yeah. Oh, Eli says, when I was in Tanzania, a lot of my Middle East friends were smoking hookahs. Yeah, it's super popular. I used to have Lebanese neighbors, and I would on occasion go over there and smoke hookah with them, and it's fantastic. Like when they talk about like different flavors of these tobaccos, they're not bullshitting. It's like for real. Like I think there was one that I had that was like grape, and it was like you were like it's like grape jelly. It's ridiculous. I don't even know how to explain it. And
Eli, what the hell were you doing in East Africa?
He's just chilling, Probably some kind of ministry work. Ding a dang dang, a dang a dong, a ling long, some Al Jorgensen shit. I don't know. Oh my goodness. So yeah, how was your week for fishy shit, Joe?
Dude, I got out once and it was an absolute fucking shit show. It was like it was actually Spence's tournament over at Quablog, Berkshire Bass.
Yep.
And I always do real well there, so I was like, yeah, man, I'll jump in.
Of course, yeah.
I grabbed my old man to come because he's always like, hey, I'd like to like check out one of these tournaments, see how it goes, whatever. I was like, so I asked, I was like, hey, you want to do this one with me? He's like, sure.
I saw his Facebook post.
Did you see his Facebook post?
Yeah. It was great. He's like, I got to see Joe lose a really big bass.
Yeah, it ended up being 2.
Is that what your video was from?
So,
oh no, I'm asking too many questions.
Yeah, so we, and Dan Griffin and I, close friends, but we have like that internal battle between the two of us.
Yes,
you know what
do.
I mean?
Yes.
So he was in it, and there's 22 boats. There's a lot of boats there for that place, and so we took off, and I went straight to the spot where I caught my PB last year.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, let me back up. The night before the tournament, I find out that they just bombed the place the day before.
Fuck. I hate when they do that.
To the point where I was like, I'm not even gonna friggin' fish it, because all the place, like I saw the map of where they did it. It was like all my spots, and so I was like, you know what? I was like, no. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. We'll still find fish. Like we'll be all right.
Sure.
And
they gotta go somewhere.
So grab the old man. He's all amped up and excited. It was good to see. It was good to see like him. He's like, this is really cool. Blah 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 blah. And so I go to that spot, and I say, he only uses spinning reels. He's like, what do you want me to bring? I was like, nothing. I was like, I got everything. Like, you're good. But I like knew I was going to have to do some weird shit with my spinning setups, because that's all he uses. So like I set up, one thing I knew, I was like, all right, top water in the morning. So I set him up with like a 75 size whopper plopper on a spinning reel.
Yep.
No bullshit. First cast, he catches an 11-incher. I'm like, okay. I was like, we can't keep it. I was like, but that's promising.
For sure.
I was running I was running different top water things. I wasn't getting any, but like after that, dude, there were like nothing in that area. I'm like, okay, this is weird. Because usually that's like the spot where you'll catch like 30 of them. Like, you know what I mean? This time of year. I was like, and in my head, I'm like, oh my God. I was like, they all went into the river. I was like, they got fucking blown up and they all went into the river. And I suck at fishing the river, but we'll talk about that. So, So I go to a piece of structure that I know, and I was like, okay, let's go see. It's a big tree piece of, like, the only piece of structure on this lake, in the middle of the lake. And, it's one of those spots where you got to catch like 4 or 5 crappie to get a bass type deal. Yep. Like they just kind of chill in there with the crappie, but they're usually pretty good ones. And, so I started throwing in. I set him up with something else. So I was like, and it's funny because, my dad's a really good fisherman. He's just not really much of a bass fisherman. He you talk trout, saltwater stuff, salmon, like that's your guy right there. For bass fishing. He's like, he hasn't seen all the new, the new baits and lures and stuff. He's like, holy shit. He's like, look, this is pretty good. I was showing him like a big Joshy, like it's so he's like, holy crap. So he ended up catching a crappie right off. I think we both caught crappie right off the rip. And he's like, oh, it's just crappie here. I was like, no. I was like, trust me, there's going to be one in here. I was like, we're going to lose lures. I was like, we're going to break off. I was like, we always do. I was like, this is like a crazy tree in here. Definitely. I was like, but once you get one, it's usually a good one. So I was throwing a wacky on a new hook that I haven't used before. But I got them because they were intriguing and I wanted to test them out. I hook up with the wacky rig, and immediately I know it's a good one. Starts pulling drag, and it comes up and you see like just like the mouth and the head. I'm like, and immediately I was like, this is a good one. My dad's like, holy shit, and then it rolled and then came out and spit the friggin' wacky worm. And I just like, it was probably, it was at least a 4, could have been like that 5-pound class. Yeah. Just by seeing the mouth like fish, immediately. Yeah. And I just like, I don't know if you've seen the quick like TikTok and Instagram I put up, but yeah, I just threw my rod down, dude. I just put my hands up and just walked in the back of the boat. And it's funny because like my dad, like growing up, he was like the grumpiest guy ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he still is, dude. Like sometimes even Emma's like, why is Pop so grumpy all the time? You know what I mean? He's just like a grumpy old man. And it was just weird because it was like the roles reversed. He's like, hey, dude. He's like, Joe. He's like, it's okay, bud. He's like, we're going to catch more. Like, it's all right. I'm like, who are you right now? You know what I mean? It's like, no, I want you to be pissed with me right now. He's like, no, he's like, I'm just loving this. He's like, we haven't fished together in so long. He's like, starting to get like sentimental. And I was like, no, I just lost the biggest fucking fish of the day. I was like, we need to both be pissed together. We're partners. He's like, no, I'm just having a good time.
You looked in that video. You looked so defeated. You really did. You were just like,
oh, dude, I was because, like, that first spot I went to was nothing, and I knew it was going to be tough to find fish. And what's up, Becca? I knew it was going to be tough to find fish once I found out that they nuked it. And but that's like a spot where I'm like, I can always pull at least one out of there.
Yep.
So I go, all right, Pops. I was like, we're heading to the river. I was like, they're all in the river. I saw a bunch of people go in the river. I was like, we're going to have to do it. I was like, and this is only like, he only went my skeeter like once or twice. Mm-hmm. And this is his first time in the Icon. So he doesn't have much experience with like a big motor bass boat. And he definitely never done a river run in one. So
oh my God.
I actually got a couple like pieces of video where he's just like, oh, like it kind of like before he got comfortable with it. So, I mean, you know the Quabog River, dude. Yes. So we're running like 55 miles an hour in that thing. I got to discover how nimble the Icon is. I mean, it was taking those hairpin corners like at 45, 50 miles an hour, like nothing. But so we go out to the river, and I started to toss a frog. I got a couple blow-ups, but I could tell they were like super small fish, like too small to like actually grab the frog.
Yep.
So like it was just like rats. And I'm like, in my head, I knew what I had to do. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I knew if people were catching them, they were flipping and punching. And there's nothing I hate more to do than flip and punch. It's just so fucking boring. And I didn't have like a setup for my dad to do it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we'll just run the weed edges, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So dude, like we were getting bites. I got some more blow ups and stuff and just nothing, dude. So I'm like, we did that for a couple hours, bunch of spots on the river. I saw a couple guys and they're all just like, fuck. Like, I was like, okay, so it's not just us.
Yeah.
So I was like a few hours later, we checked a couple other spots in the lake, and I go, I'm going back to that structure. He's like, let's do it. So I go back to the structure, right? And
praying
I hook into another big one.
Oh,
I hook into another big one, Bobby, right? So I was like, thank God. Next thing you know, that fish goes under one of the branches, and I could see some of this going on live scope.
Yeah.
He goes under the branch, comes up above it, right? And then goes back down around it.
Wrapped around.
So now
he's
got my line one time. And I could still feel him, like you could tell the lines like moving on the, he's
you
still
can
tugging
feel
me.
it. Sure.
And I'm like, so now I'm just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me right now.
What were you throwing for line?
I go right up to it, dude. And it's about 3 feet down to the point where I can see him, like his tail moving every once in a while.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, dude, I'm going around this thing. I'm sticking my rod all the way down, trying to get this thing. My dad's like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? Like, what do you want me to do? Because like, I'm trying to do the trolling motor, the rod, like, and I go, okay. I go, you know what? I go, grab the net. And brand new net, never even used it before.
Oh, that's right.
Pulls it out, extends it all the way. I'm like, all right. I was like, we're going to try to just scoop this thing. And then if we get it into the net, we can just break the line and he'll be in the net.
Yeah. He's
like, I don't even know if that's like, I don't even know like how that is, if it's against the rules. I don't know.
Got to do what you got to do.
But I was going to do it anyway. So, cause I could see him like it's super like murky water, but every once in a while I see him like roll, like his belly. I see him roll like very faintly. And I'm like, but so we're putting it down there. He was in like a fork of the he was under a fork of the tree, so we could not get the friggin' net up underneath him.
Yeah.
To the point where I bent the shit out of my fucking net trying to like get under there and try to like, I thought I had him a couple times, so I bent the shit out of a brand new net. And then he's still on, dude. He's still like, and he goes, I go, all right. I go, take my rod. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going in for it.
I knew you were going to do it.
What do you mean you're going in? I was like, I'm going in for it. He's like,
yes.
He's like, you can't do that. I was like, oh no, I'm going to. I was like, I'm going to at least try to get it unwrapped. And like, dude, this is a spot I know a bunch of other people fish. So
Sure.
I there's probably 1,000 lures in there. I knew as soon as I jump in, I'm gonna like get pierced by every lure that's been in that tree for the last 10 years. Like
staph infection.
And I was like, yeah, dude, I was like, fuck it. Dude, I start like getting ready. I was gonna go right down to my skivvies. And and at that time, the boat moved. And like I had my rod, the boat, like I just kind of like, because I'm trying to do 6 things at once. I had to get the rod was starting to go under the boat the way the wind was coming. Mm-hmm. So I had to move it to the left. And just the way I did it quick, and it finally broke, dude.
Fuck.
So I didn't go swimming. And, you know, again, now I'm just kind of sitting there, like contemplating life. You know what I mean? And my dad's just like, I'm having such a good time. I'm like, will you just fucking stop? I was like, I love you. I was like, I don't know if I like this part of you because I need somebody to be mad with me right now.
I need somebody to just see my perspective.
And dude, I did something I hate doing. I've done it, I think, one other time before. I didn't have any fish in the box. This was at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. I just fucking packed it right up.
Yeah.
Packed it up. I was like, hate doing that. Yeah, I was a quitter. I quit early. Like, yeah, whatever you have to say. And I go back and still I'm all like bummed out because I'm like I wanted to like, you know, weigh in some fish with my old man. He's like, no, he's like, I loved it. It's such a good time. I was like, are you lying? Or are you being for real right now? He's like, I was like, you don't have to like pump my ego. It's okay if you thought this was total bullshit, because it was. And he's like, no, he's like, I'd really like to do this again. I was like, all right. So we pack up. I texted Meg. I texted my brother, and I texted Dan. I go, I'm going home, change, shower, then I'm going to drink my face off at Timber Yard. So
it's pretty much all you can do at that point.
Drink, yeah. And I went there. So I go home, change. I find out, dude, everyone's struck. Dude, the people that caught the fish were punching them in the mats and stuff. So I think the biggest bag was 15 pounds, which is a pretty good bag. But like, dude, there's like, I think there was like 5 or 6 boats that kind of did the vagina thing like I did and left early. Yeah. And then like people didn't weigh in, and Dan, I think he had like 8 pounds. So he's like, dude, I could only find rats all day. But yeah, so I met Dan, his wife, his kids, my brother, his wife, his kid, and I just drank my face off at Timber Yard after. But yeah, so went there. So yeah, but I mean, dude, it was awesome to get out with my old man. I haven't done it in so long. I have between our schedules and whatnot, and like, you know, it was so that was good. That made it almost worth it. Almost worth fishing like trash, but he's been seeing my videos and my posts from St. Lawrence River. He's like, dude, I really want to go up there.
So I have an idea.
So what's that?
I think you and I should enter the Fish or Die tournament in September, and I think we should have our partners be our dads.
Well, I already have Zach. I already have it promised to Zach for that one.
Oh.
But he did bail on me.
That's true.
Because I know he's in here. I wouldn't do. No way. I wouldn't do that.
If you're going to do Zach, I should probably throw Josh on the old implication.
I might do another trip up there. Yeah. I might do it like a couple days or something and bring him up there. Because it's a 4.5 hour ride. Like, it's not terrible.
It's true, man.
To go up there for a couple days.
Yeah. Like, you go to the Cape and you're looking at like almost 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well go to the St. Lawrence.
It could be longer if you hit traffic.
If you go the wrong time of year, yeah, it could be 4.5, 5.
Yeah,
easy. Yeah,
yeah.
It's crazy. We do have a couple of ongoing commercials for these nets from Broken Twigs, Broken Twig landing nets. Eli asked if you've checked them out. I know that we've seen them at which booth were they at, or did Dark Horse have
seen
one
them
or two?
I've gotten my hands on them. I don't remember where.
Nice.
It might have been in Columbus.
Yep. Zach chimes in.
But there's only one reason. I need something that folds up.
Really?
I need something that folds up to save space. Yeah. I just prefer something that folds up to save space.
I have been using a net that does, because I used to buy the folding nets to just have on hand for the kayak and for everything. And they're fine. You know, they definitely, and in fact, I still have one as like a backup. But when I got, when I got Jay Manning's Old Ascend, when I bought that, as like a little kayak warming gift, Sean the Fisherman had gotten me it was like one of the cheap like Bass Pro or Cabela's nets. It's like an 18-inch hoop, but it's got a what do you call it? It's got like the fabric netting instead of the synthetic, and so like it's completely this thing is trash. I've cut holes in it because I've had lures get jammed in it. Like I've put giant fish in this thing. It's just freaking crazy. It's freaking bananas.
I'm looking at them right now. They're wicked nice.
They are nice.
I wish at least like the net part folded up.
I wouldn't be shocked if you saw that, because really the thing that makes it so crazy unique is that the handle is basically a retired hockey stick, you know.
Which I think is awesome. I think that's wicked cool. Especially I come from a hockey family.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I definitely, I agree. I think that's awesome. But I've seen the way some of these like really large nets, like carp nets and pike nets, fold up. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or two you saw Broken Twigs do something that way where you could collapse it down. Not even so much the handle, but
it's not the handle. It's like I like the nets that fold like in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It does make it way easier to store them. It really does. Although when you
Zach, we'll be in touch. I might give him a shot, Zach. We'll see, because I do like that. I do like that rubber netting. It's just as long as I can get it into my my little side storage there.
That's the thing. Like for me, like on my boat, I have my floor area where my seats go is enormous, and I just leave the net on the floor. Yeah. And then when it's time to fish, I'll put it up on the side on up against one of where the storage is. Yep. For a while I was toying around with the idea of dedicating a rod holder to it, but then I'm like, I'm gonna make a freaking cast and hook the freaking net and blow up a reel, and I'm going to be pissed. So I'd rather leave it off to the side where I can just grab it on the floor. And it's like, so far it hasn't been an issue, but
they float too.
Yeah, floating is a big deal. Net. Floating is a big deal.
Yeah, because this would be my fourth net this year.
Yeah.
Like me and nets have not been getting along this year.
I would tinker around.
Zach, I'll be in contact with you. I'll talk to you about it more. But so dude, that was like my fishy week, I guess. I did come home to a package today that I was very happy about. My new 360 Mega 360 made it in today, and so I literally, it's already all wired and everything. I just need to plug in the new one and put it back on. So I'm wicked pumped about that. So thank you to Thayer's Marine. If anyone's out there, looking at, bass boats, especially like fiberglass, go check them out. Yeah. They did me real well. For those of you who don't know, I broke the cord on my Humminbird. They did all the work, and they were just like, you know what, Joe, we're just going to send you a new one, and we're going to get this, we'll get this one replaced. Like we'll take care of it. So they did me real well. So I'm awesome. Very appreciative of that. So.
No, that's awesome, dude. And I mean, it's always nice to get, some stuff fixed and, squared away the right way. That's awesome. Man, that's freaking crazy.
Yep.
That is freaking crazy. Let's go ahead. You want to do our headlines? You want to go and bang that out?
Let's do it, Broseph.
I love it.
Yep. All right, Bobby. So this first one, we're going to go local. We're coming back. We're coming back to New England because a tournament angler smashes the Connecticut record with a 58-pound carp on Lake Zor.
Yep, I've heard about this.
So Norby Samak, I'm going to call him Samak, a tournament angler from Westchester County, New York, officially set a new Connecticut state record when he hauled in a 58-pound, 44.8-inch common carp from Lake Zor last week. Samak's colossal carp surpasses Connecticut's previous state record by more than 13 pounds.
That's giant.
It's a mammoth of a carp, the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, or DEEP, said. Samak said in a Facebook post that he lured the giant carp with a boilie, a round, hard-boiled bait typically made of flour, eggs, and fish meal that was enhanced with one-on bait flavoring. He wouldn't give up the exact coordinates of the honey hole. Who can blame him? Yeah. But did know it's only accessible by boat. He was fishing from shore, though. You can see in the pictures.
All right.
The fish dethroned Rafael Lozalo's 45.5 catch, which was caught in May from Lake Lillanoa. Lozalo was on the scene when Samak reeled in. Oh, so the guy who held it was actually there when he caught this. So he broke his buddy's record while he was watched. That's awesome. He even took photos and videos to document the event. From one champ to another, he said, according to a Facebook post. Samak, who grew up in Hungary, is part of the USA Carp Squad, a team that represents the United States on the international stage through U.S. Angling, a nonprofit focus on growing competitive sport fishing. Though still snubbed by some American anglers as a trash fish, carp are hard-fighting bruisers. They're gaining respect among sport fishers in the U.S., particularly in the Northeast, where waters like Lake Zor and Lake Lillanoa are quietly becoming trophy carp destinations. His new record was officially recognized by Connecticut Deep yesterday and is now listed with other noteworthy catches from the Constitution State's waters. So that's cool. What people don't realize is carp fishing is huge in Europe. Huge.
Oh, yeah.
Carp, pike, perch. Huge over there. So this fish is absolutely bananas. I don't know, for those of you guys who... I'm going to show it to you. I'll show it on mine here. And there it is. Share. I don't know if you got to hit a button there, Bobby.
There we go. Yeah, it's a giant, dude.
So that thing is an absolute behemoth. So there is your new Connecticut state record of, what was it, 58 pounds. Jeez. Insane.
It's almost 60 pounds. It's insane, dude.
Almost 60 pounds, dude. It's absolutely bananas.
That's like two Eleanors. It's like two Eleanors. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Like, just look at this thing. And like, I remember when I was fishing Candlewood last year, I remember seeing some fucking big ass ones. And like, I mean, just see this. The thing's a dinosaur, man. Dinosaur.
Oh, you know what I didn't mention? Speaking of dinosaurs, I was fishing on Wednesday with Topless Timmy Jakes. This is the other trip I had done on Wednesday in that heat, right? And we were fishing a spot on the Connecticut River that neither one of us really had any real experience with. And we saw a bunch of huge carp, which didn't surprise me at all. I figured that we would see plenty of carp. We saw a couple of sturgeon. Saw a couple of sturgeon, dude. Stop it. Yeah, we saw them in the water. I mean, these are probably about 20, 25 inches long, not giants. But we got a look at one of them swimming underwater. We're like, is that a sturgeon? Is that what that is? And I got a really good look at one of them because it jumped straight up out of the water, like about 10 feet away from Tim's boat. Fucking wild.
Probably like 10 feet out of the water too. Those things are gnarly.
It was easily at least 4 or 5 feet out of the water. At least. Like it was fully out of the water and then landed back in. And I was like, and I happened to be looking just the right way. I was like, holy shit, Tim. And he was like, what? I was like, did you see that sturgeon just leap out of the water? It was fucking bananas, man. I couldn't buy a bite that day.
So it's
what's that?
It's funny because I was actually on the same body of water, but I was on the Oxbow. Just as you come out of that weird where you got to like go slow and around the loop and stuff, like just hitting the lake portion. And I remember going and I was making a run. I had the Skeeter at the time. I was making a run pretty good. And I remember out of the corner of my eye seeing a fish jump like pretty well out of the water.
Yep.
And I was like, oh man, was that a carp? Like to this day, I still chalked up as a carp. I remember it being like more silvery. And I was like, wow, that was crazy. Like, but I only saw it like out of my peripherals, you know what I mean? And just got a quick look at it. So I don't know, maybe.
And carp, when they breach the surface, I don't think I've ever seen them go that high up. They kind of like come up and lob themselves over. Like, this sturgeon jumped out of the water like a dolphin.
That's so crazy.
It was wild. I was like,
so crazy.
Just rocketed straight up. And I was just like, you got to be shitting me. Like, could not believe it. Could not believe it. And I'm like, don't hook it. Whatever you do, don't hook it, man. It's that shit I don't want to fucking deal with. But we got some.
No.
We got some carp bait updates from John Hagens here. He goes, boilies are hard-boiled carp baits that they stick on hooks attached to method feeders. I'm new to using method feeders and pack baits. See, pack baits are really all I kind of know, to be honest. Purpose of boilies is to keep it smaller fish from easily stealing or eating all your bait, which makes sense because they're like the size of like a jawbreaker, you know?
Yeah.
They're a good size. They really are. Not like pop-ups. Pop-ups are a little bit different. They're significantly smaller. Fred Powers makes pop-ups, and like in a variety of scents and flavors too, and they fucking last. I fished with Todd Grubb the one time he and I fished for carp together, and we used, it's like a drug dealer, man. He opens up this case and he's got all these pop-ups and he's like, what scent do you want? And I was like, I gotta go garlic, man. I gotta go garlic. And we casted our baits out there. We left them for like 12 or 13 hours. And when we reeled up at the end of the day, we didn't get any bites. We reeled up at the end of the day, those pop-ups still stunk like garlic. It was crazy. I was like, that long? I figured this thing is just going to dissolve, but yeah, it's freaking wild.
Right.
And I'm lucky because Todd Grubb shared his recipe for pack bait. And I'm convinced it's magical. I'm convinced. I gotta fuck around with carp a little bit.
Okay.
I really do. I gotta fuck around a little bit more with carp. Just
gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Yeah, go to Anota and just charge the battery, spot lock in one spot, and just bring out. I got chairs on the boat. You know what I mean? Bring out the old chill steel pipes and just chillax until once we get an absolute monster on. Just absolute chaos. Yep. But until then, party time. Oh my God.
Hell yeah.
Dude, it's good. That's good stuff. No, that's a good headline. I like hearing about records that are local like that. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. And I mean, I see a ton of them, but it's like I try to stick to more of the local ones for us.
No, absolutely. I think it's awesome, Eli goes, he chimes in, he says, I want to fish for species I bass fish 90% of the time. Eli, that's what I do. I throw artificial baits, and I throw baits that are, the only thing I do differently is I downsize so that more species can realistically eat a presentation that I'm throwing. That's all I do is I go out and I fish. I fish the way I like to fish. And, I just catch a bunch, Yeah, he says, I know what you meant to say more species. Absolutely. Just downsize a little bit, throw some finesse stuff. You'll catch plenty, The most important thing is to make sure that they're in the body of water where you are, Don't go to a pond that has no trout at all and go like, I'm going to catch a rainbow. Be like, okay.
Probably won't work.
Probably not going to happen. But, you never know. Stranger things have happened.
That's right.
Man, that's freaking nuts. I don't think we really have anything to go any further with this segment, but we do have some stuff in our next segment to cover. We do have a little bit of an FTG conversation, and we have a fun little conversation to have regarding our live well discussion this week. We got 2 questions in there. One of them from one of our jig heads, Javi, who just dropped it in the chat. We'll talk about that. But then, of course, it's not Jigs and Bigs if we don't have a phone call from Eli, and we do. And it's a really good question. And I'm gonna say some shit in segment 2 that's probably gonna get me canceled from the bass fishing world. I'm probably gonna make some enemies. Yeah, I probably will. You know, some good stuff. I love it. John Higgins chimes in. He goes, some of the biggest fish are the other species. I've worn my catfish rods out catching tons of 25 to 30 inch drum this past month. I believe it. John is in this catfish tournament right now. And he was telling me about the situation. And I got to tell you, like, big ups to Madam Higgins. Big ups. Because he was telling me, he was like, yeah, he's like, dude, I just got my ass handed to me by these kayak dudes that are out in competing in this tournament. And he goes, for some reason, he's like, my wife just thinks I'm a fucking rock star with this shit. And she's like, you do this from the bank and you can put these guys in their place. And he's crawling back from fucking being pushed all the way back. He's, the journey is there. So that's badass. So, hey, big shout out. Big shout out to Ms. Higgins. I like that. Let's go ahead. We'll take a short break. We'll come back. We'll reconvene. We've got Just the Tip for you. We've got an FTG. We've got the live well. We're going to wrap it up. Happy birthday, America. We'll see you guys in a bit. Do not go too far. Much more coming up on Jigs and Bigs.
And perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
All right, Bobby, jig heads, and all you Jigs and Bigs listeners, I have a solid summer bass fishing tip for you. That's because you need to start fishing early or fish late, unless you're in tournaments, obviously. But those fish are trying to stay cool just like the rest of us are. So during those hot summer days, the bass obviously become a little less active in the heat, and they seek, cooler, deeper water, shaded cover. And like I think it was like a week or 2 ago, Bob, we kind of talked about how, some fish go deep, but some fish don't. But I'm telling you right now, on those shorelines where you have that tree cover and stuff, you might have the smallest little spot of shade, the tiniest, I'm talking like the size of like a football, and there's still a good chance that there's going to be a bass in that shade. So make sure you pound those shaded areas. Look for that deeper water structure. If you have live scope, 360, stuff like that, or you just know from mapping, look for that deep water structure in the heat of the day. But now's those early mornings, those later evenings as that sun's going down. Now it's time for those topwater bites. We all talk about loving those topwater bites. Now's the time, whether it's frog, buzzbait, whopper plopper, walking bait, crawlers, whatever you want to use. Now's the time. And then deep diving crankbaits are good for those suspending fish on that structure in the deep water. So go in there, get in there early. Try to stay out there late, get those topwater bites, hit that shaded area, hit that structure under the docks, under the trees, that structure that is deep. You'll get them. They don't turn off in the summer. Sometimes you just got to work a little harder, especially if it's the heat of the day.
100%.
Just get out there, go do the work, and you'll be fine.
Yep. No, you're 100% right, man. It's one of those things where they say the early bird gets the worm. It's true.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into this because this is a good one. I called up the story so we can talk about it, but So initially, I got this DM from Dave Urkey, aka the Wolf of Walmart, and he sent it to me, and he was like, "You think FTG?" And I was like, "Wow, that's so fucking crazy. It might end up making headlines." But actually, I think it works out perfectly in FTG. I think this is just the right spot for it. So he sent me a post from the Qualified Captain, which is probably collectively one of our favorite as a show entirely.
Oh yeah,
one of our favorite Instagram accounts to watch because it's just absolute bullshittery, absolute fuckery on the water. And generally it's showing like a lot of like wreck boats and stuff, a lot of drunk activity, stuff like that. Just absolute, like, I mean, I'm talking epic fails like that level. So Qualified Captain puts this post together, and I'm going to read it, what he's got here, and I'm going to describe what's happening in the video. Let's start with describing what happened in the video. So this is a video where you see what appears to be a jet ski, like retreating from like this huge wreck boat, and like it's going into a marina, like where it's covered slips and everything, like a nice, really nice marina. You know what I'm saying? And it seems as if like this dude in this wreck boat has a beef with the jet skier, and he starts basically like chasing after him, like going like to hit him. And in the process, he rams into half a dozen to maybe 10 or more slips and other boats, and you just hear crunching like all over the place. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's bad. And so the Qualified Captain caption reads, "Weekend recap. Haven't seen anything this out of control in a long time. Some absolute clowns causing chaos in Contra Costa County, California." I thought this is in Florida. This is actually in California. He goes, "I don't know the full story, but no conflict is worth putting innocent people in danger. Keep these kinds of people off the water." And I totally get behind that. There is one... oh my goodness. Yeah, apparently there's a lot of boats that have been damaged. Like, there's people in the comments here that are like, "Oh, imagine pissing away $250,000 of your own money in a wake boat, then $500,000 damages to everybody else's boats, then $50K plus for attorney fees and jail time, probably a DUI charge and attempted murder charges, all because you can't control yourself emotionally." Because that's what in the video, if you look at it, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on the Jigs and Bigs Instagram story. I'll post it there Tuesday morning, so it'll be there the day. If you're listening to when this drops, it'll be there, and you'll be able to see it. Like, that's what it is. This guy just looks like some fucking out of control meathead that was like roid raging. You know,
I got it up. Do you want me to share it?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
All right.
That sounds highly inappropriate. I got it up.
So let's see
this
here.
is the story.
Put
Perfect.
the sound on. This is a news story.
Perfect.
Dangerous case of boat rage in the Delta that sent someone to the hospital.
So you JCats can see this.
Maniac.
Neighbors captured this video over the weekend of a boat running over someone on a jet
Can you
ski
hear that?
and then slamming into some docked boats. This all happened Sunday night in Discovery Bay, a Contra Costa County community on the edge of the Delta.
That's kind of like the only video snippet you see.
Even in their own backyards. Our Katie Nielsen spoke with neighbors who saw the dust up that ended with the violent crash.
There's actually some more video coming up.
This is where everything happened just before sunset on Sunday night, and a neighbor who actually lives right across the bay captured the entire thing on cell phone video. Take a look. This is the video Katie Hernandez shot as she was standing at her dock in Discovery Bay just before 9 p.m. on Sunday.
It was insane. It was like out of a movie.
She says the dark-colored wakeboard boat came flying into the small harbor area right next to Discovery Bay Marina's docks. The boat chasing after a person on a jet ski, going around in circles, creating waves and waves.
And there's a bunch of people on the boat too. It's not like one dude. That boat is packed with people.
The jet skier headed back toward the docks. And in another video, you can see that's when it happened.
Oh gosh.
The dark-colored wakeboard boat runs over one of the people on the jet skis, then crashes into boats docked at the marina. And in the boat driver's rush to turn around and leave,
yeah, this is bad.
Oh my God.
The dark-colored boat hit another set of boats docked on the opposite side.
The boat just sped off.
And those are all like
speed
six-figure boats.
Oh, easily. Yep.
Katie says she's lived here since she was little, and recently she's noticed a lot more problems on the water, especially with those who don't live in Discovery Bay,
Did they catch this guy?
Bring their boats in and launch them from nearby marinas.
They want to go to Ski Beach and have fun, and it's just amateur hour, unfortunately, happens out here.
Nice one, amateur hour.
It's not safe.
The Contra Costa County Fire Department said one person was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Katie says she's amazed no one was seriously hurt.
I literally thought that guy was going to die.
Now she's questioning whether people in Discovery Bay are safe in their own backyard, the area right off the end of their dock.
I do want to have friends over and have them come float and barbecue, but it's like kind of uneasy now. Do I want to invite anybody over? It's terrible.
The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Department says this is still an active investigation, but so far they have not made any arrests in the case. Now, as for the jet skier, friends of his say he's pretty shaken up and also banged up, but is expected to be okay.
2 men are under arrest for their role.
That's crazy, dude, to me.
Oh, they've since arrested.
They've been arrested.
Men.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
But yeah, so we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, fuck that guy. Just 100%. How do you? There's nothing else you can add to that. Like, what a piece of shit. And it's in the reel, or the from Qualified Captain with that video, after he hit the jet skier, it's almost as if he was just like, fuck it, I'm in here already. And he just almost did like a lap around and hit probably 5 or 6 boats around there. And like,
yeah,
that's where he's going to do the real damage. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, dude, it's
like
tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars in damage there.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Fucking dummy.
Yeah.
Big old dummy.
Fucking idiots, man. I'm saying, it's like, but hey, it is what it is. But I'm glad we were able to squeeze it into the show, and having the video, that was awesome, Joe. So thanks for pulling that up. That was really, really good. I think it is. It's probably time to jump into our live well segment here, and kind of have a little conversation. Let's go ahead and do this.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions.
Alrighty, guys, the Live Well. It is time to have a conversation and discuss and answer, hopefully, some of your burning questions. And of course, we've got the jig heads here. And guys, if you want to, guys and gals, if you want to chime in with your own hot takes on some of these questions, go ahead and do so. Leave it in the comments. We'll make sure to mention that. Let's go ahead and we'll actually start with Eli's. Right off the top, because I'm going to say some stuff in here that I think is probably pretty unpopular with bass anglers in total. Here we go.
Hey guys, Eli again. Got a question. I'm driving out to a local pond to go throw the Hags frog that just came in the Dark Horse tackle box this month, and was wondering what do you think is the hardest lure technique to learn as a new angler? In my opinion, I think it's a frog. And at first I didn't think this, but then when I thought about it more, I think that teaching a new angler the patience that they have to wait a second to set that hook, or even an experienced angler, if you haven't caught one in a while, trying to wait when you see that blow up, I think is one of the hardest things to do when it comes to a technique. But what do you guys think is the hardest technique to learn in bass fishing? Okay, have a great day. Bye.
So mine is easy. I think Eli nailed it. The frog is the hardest thing. It is the hardest thing. And I don't think it's because of the patience side of it. I think that's an easy part to learn. I think it's the fact that you are throwing a bait that has the smallest amount of gap in the hook possible. So you're throwing that, and you're basically relying on that fish getting enough of that bait to compress the body, in order to reveal the points of those hooks. And I think the thing is that a lot of people, quote, love throwing a frog.
I just love frogging, man. I can't stop. I love to throw a frog in there.
Here's the thing. I'm going to say something that's really unpopular. Throw a frog when you fucking have to. Like, if you're throwing a frog on water that is so covered with shit that you can't throw something else and swim it through there. Like, you can't do it. There are people talk about grass, weeds. Oh yeah, I'll throw a frog over grass all the time. Blah, 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 blah. I'll throw a fucking swim jig and get way better fucking hookups. You know what I mean? Way better fucking hookups. Throwing a swim jig in there, something like that. If it's not like mats or pads that are so thick that frog is like weaving in and out of leaves. Like, I throw a frog in the conditions where you're not walking the dog. It's not happening. There's so much stuff that you're crawling that frog in and around stuff. And I get blowups and I get bit. But there's really, other than punching, there's really nothing else that's going to get the job really done, And if they're orientating upwards, then go for it. But like, there are so many people who are just like,
I fucking love a frog, man.
And I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that's a great opinion because I think it's 100% accurate. Yeah. Like, even with tournaments, yep. I throw frogs in tournaments? Sure. But it's when I can throw nothing else in there.
Yeah.
And I don't like, cool. Could I get a better ratio with punching and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. Yes. And that is probably the technique of fishing that it's not that I struggled most with. It's just something I'm not confident in. Yeah. It's probably the technique that I'm the least confident in because I like just my ADHD brain like has a tough time just sitting there and bloop, bring it back. Bloop. Bring it back. You know what I mean?
And let's be honest, you're not covering 100%. Water with punching either. Like, when you got to throw a frog, you can cover an area a lot more efficiently than you can with punching. So I totally understand that, but it's like,
if there's a weed or grass bed in 2 feet of water, but that grass and stuff isn't at the top, I'm throwing something with some fucking treble hooks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if I'm going to throw a top water,
frogs in open water, I definitely don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I see people doing it all the time. I don't understand it. That's the difference between a standard frog and a poppin' frog. The poppin' frog was designed for open water to get a little bit more of that churning the water. But it's like, why if you're trying to actually, increase your hookup ratio, then you want something with some trebles or something.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't think that's popular opinion. I think you nailed it. I think that's 100% right.
Yeah, I think it's probably, now I will say, I think there's a couple of runners up. I think that the thing that people struggle with, and this actually probably leans into like, Joe, what you're saying about like punching and like, flipping cover. I think a lot of it has to do with the patience involved. So when people are like, even more difficult is when it's like the bite is, you're fishing midday. And you're like, I've got to slow this down. I've got to be more subtle.
Yep.
And I think that can be a real challenge because a lot of people will just try to force feed a chatterbait to fish that don't want to eat it, when you could get more bites slowing down.
Yep.
That's also very difficult.
I agree. I do have a different answer though.
Oh, okay. I'm interested. I want to know.
I also think the frog fishing is the number one. But I think I think one that kind of steers anglers away is ones that the setup or the knot tying is more difficult. So with that being said, when Carolina rigs, Some people just don't want to take that time to set up a Carolina rig the correct way with the swivel and with the weight and with the cylinder weight and with the beads. Even a drop shot for a lot of people can be a real pain in the dick to tie.
It's double the knots.
And I think that really skews some people into actually, I think that makes that technique more difficult for them because they either don't have the patience, the patience or the expertise to tie certain types of knot, or just haven't done the reason. I mean, even like a Tokyo rig's an awesome rig to use, but some people might see it as a pain in the ass to actually do the work to set up that rig. So I guess that would be, from a frog, that would be like my close second, would just be techniques that are a little bit more difficult to actually tie and set up.
It's funny. My gut reaction initially was big swim baits. That was initially, I was like, yeah, man, that's something where like people are just, I don't have any confidence in it. But I think not having confidence in a presentation is different than it being something that's challenging to learn. Cause like, you know what I mean? Like you can build there are large baits that you can throw that are pretty cut and dry, you know? Like you can get giant whopper ploppers and freaking hammer them, you know?
Yeah. Here's the difference between the big swim baits. You can go get yourself a fucking 3-inch, 4-inch glide bait. So throw that 7-inch glide bait and throw that 3-4-inch glide bait and tell me which one you're more confident in, because you're going to catch a hell of a lot more fish in that 3 to 4 inch. Than you are going to be, you know what I mean? So it's not what kills people's confidence in those big ass glide or swim baits is just the fact that there's not as many fish that are willing to bite them.
It's true. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I feel like that can come into play too. Like a lot of people, you hear them talk about like, I just don't understand jigs, you know, but I do. I have to go. I have to agree. I think with Eli, I think it's like frog fishing is just because there's technique involved, but there is this sort of like everybody loves frogging. And then like if you're in like Florida or Louisiana, you have to throw a frog more than somebody who lives in Wisconsin, Massachusetts, 100%. Maine. You know, 100%. I'm not saying that we don't have vegetation, but the vegetation that we have is different. So it's a different kind of beast overall. Let's some of these
umbrella
comments are
Eli mentioned umbrella rig. An umbrella rig, once you start fishing it, is pretty fucking easy to fish. It's not a hard technique to fish. The problem is the taking the time to set it up. If it comes completely set up, that's awesome. But guess what? Most states don't allow you to have all those hooks.
All of them.
So for Bobby and I here, we can only have 2 of them that actually have a hook. So an umbrella rig or a rig, whatever you want to call it, are a great, I mean, dude, they're so good that tournaments don't even allow you to use them.
No,
it's almost true. Like umbrella rigs are almost like a cheat code.
Yeah, it's 100% true. He says,
but it's just, it takes some time.
When I lost my umbrella rig with all the jig heads and the soft plastic, my hair dropped to the floor. And that's I think another point too. Like you talk about a Carolina rig, right? Or an A rig. There's a lot of components that go into something like that. And you're like, dude, I don't want to have to go and get another hook, another weight, another 3, jig heads, another however many, jig heads, plus all the plastics. All that stuff comes into the
That's a whole pack of plastics.
It really is. Yeah. If you throw a full umbrella rig, man, that's a full pack of Kitex. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. So I totally get it.
That's $9 plus the cost of the umbrella rig, the jig head. So that's a $15, $20 setup you just lost right there.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, man. 100%. Like, and it's true. Like I Bobby Roast Beef doesn't hate frogs. I love frogs. They're a tool. I'm just not going to force a frog bite when I don't need to. You know what I mean?
And I agree. I agree with you.
This is also why guys will take like a bunch of frogs and do anything they can to soften the bodies as much as possible, to give as much of the, but at the same time, people get freaked out about bending the hooks out a little bit. That trick. They're like, oh, bend the hooks out a little bit to give the point a little bit more. And it's like, you need it to be out there so they can get stuck, It's crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because like I did so, dude. I've done all the tricks in the book. I think with a frog, I soften them up, I boil them. Yeah. I have bent the hooks out. I don't typically do that anymore because then you just end up fucking snagging way more shit, and that's you're kind of defeating the purpose.
And now it seems to me like a lot of the frogs that are out there now, like some of the newer ones, are compensating a little bit. Like you'll see like the parts of the body will be molded where the hook will line up, and it'll be set up so it's not just like jammed up against the plastic like some of the other stuff.
Right.
I love this. John Hagens chimed in. He was like, in my area, people complain about circle hooks being ineffective, but they are not willing to tie the proper snell knot to make the hook work the way that it's meant to. Yeah, it's there's like with punching rigs, it's the same thing. People don't want to tie the knots so that when you set the hook, that hook goes the right direction, so that the hook point goes right up into the upper lip of that fish. It's crazy. Joe's right with the knots, especially in the heat. I do not want to tie a technical knot. Yeah, I get that. I 100% get that. But at the same time, like I am a big proponent of like, you got to tie the knots that you can tie the best and that you trust. And that's the connection point. That's putting it all together is your knot. You're putting a lot of trust in that, That's crazy, dude. Yep. So let's I think that's a pretty good one. I think overall, Eli, I think you nailed it. Like with you're saying that frog was the most difficult. This is one that comes from Javi. And Javi Silva chimes in, and he sent this right over through the chat. He's one of our jig heads, and he goes, "How long should someone throw the same bait over and over again until they decide they need to change it up? I've struggled with this. I don't know how long I should throw a specific bait for." And that's one of those situations, I think, where results will vary based on the angler. Some of that comes down to just time management and being aware of how long you've been throwing something that's not effective. The other thing is the big question I find myself asking all the time. Like a perfect example. I went out and I started throwing, what was it? I started throwing that walking bait, right? That arc walking bait. I got one bite. I made about maybe 15 more casts. Around this one area, I had one bait. I knew that there were fish there. And I was in some of the more shallow spots. I was able to see that there were fish there. So I threw this bait and I covered the area. I basically did a fan cast around a large section of this one cut. And when I didn't get a bite anymore there and I knew that there were fish there, I put it down. And I switched over to an HH Customs a micro koosh ball bladed jig. And I threw that, I basically tried to force a bite. And with that, I did something a little bit different. I said, I'm going to fish this on both sides of the boat. I'm going to cast shallow, and then I'm going to make a cast deep. I'm going to cast shallow, and then I'm going to make a cast deep. And I'm going to give myself until that dock right there, because all of this stuff looks fishy. Maybe there weren't any fish there and I just went by a bunch. I highly doubt that, but it's possible. And they just weren't biting it. As soon as I made a switch to something that was a little bit more subtle, a finesse swim bait, I immediately started hooking up. And I think that what you have to do is when you tie something on, Sean the Fisherman gave me this really great tip. He was like, start with the most obnoxious presentation first and work down. Don't force feed it so much and say, I'm going to fish all day with this. And if it doesn't work, then I guess it never worked. It's broken. You got to look at it and say, and give yourself a cutoff time, manage your own time, and that's where you have to kind of take yourself out of the mix and look at what you're doing, and figure out like, shit, I've been throwing this for an hour and I've gone by some stuff that looked absolutely juicy. But you're telling me there's no fish on there? Especially if you know that there's fish there, go ahead and make a change, but do it in an intelligent way. Don't say like, oh yeah, they wouldn't bite the walking bait, and then I tried this finesse bladed jig. Maybe all of a sudden a whopper plopper or a buzzbait's going to be the thing that gets it done. You know?
Yeah.
Do it in an intelligent way and say like, this is what I've thrown. These things are not working. Both of these baits are really, really loud and fast moving. Let's slow it down a little bit more. And I think that's a pretty good thing. And it's going to differ angler to angler. I mean, there are people who, like the big swim bait guys, that are just like, I am throwing this bait. And if they're doing it to build confidence in that presentation. That's different, you know? When you're just going out to catch fish, you got to look at it and say, like, what cards have I played and what do I have left in my hand? Now, what do you say, Joe? As far as like how long someone should throw a bait?
Yeah, so with me, it's a little bit differently because I'm on a boat. I can typically see fish, you know, with my electronics. I'm very OCD in some aspects when it comes to numbers. I usually give myself, if I know there's fish in the area, 10 casts. That's what I give, 10 casts.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I'm not getting a follow, a bite, nothing like that, I switch it up. And I also got that tip from Sean the fisherman, to where I start with a lot of times I start with the most obnoxious and I work my way down. So Javi, if you feel like you might be taking too much time with a certain presentation, that usually means that you are. So especially if you know that it's a very, as Bobby says, a very like fishy type spot, and you're not getting them. Like I said, my personal thing is 10 casts. Typically, I'll give 10 casts to an area. If I'm not getting any bite, chases, follows, anything like that, then I'll switch it up. But yeah, if you think if you're thinking to yourself, man, I think I'm wasting too much time with this, then don't second guess yourself. Then you probably
right.
are. So that's when, switch it up. And like Bobby said, 9 times out of 10, if the fish aren't hitting what you're throwing, you always want to kind of downgrade and go to something a little bit, smaller, finessey, a little bit slower. Chances are they're always going to hit the slower, finessey stuff. You can always go down. It's tough to go up if they're not hitting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Eli put something in here that's really good too. He says, he goes, have something to cover the top, middle, and bottom parts of the water column. I agree with that. I think that's just a good way of looking at it. I mean, even more so is, I would say, I love top water. I really do. But
we all do.
I don't care about getting bit on top water as much as I do catching bigs. You know what I mean? So for me, I want to try to elicit as many bites as possible and cover as much water. I'm not going to force it to be on top unless there are signs that make me think that it might be a good top water day, or not just top water in general, a specific, conditions for a specific style bait. Like I've got specific conditions that I look for when I'm throwing like a floating jerkbait or a popper that are different than if I'm throwing like a walking bait or a plopper or a buzz bait or something like that. That's really kind of moving along. And even a wake bait is like kind of rides like in the middle there, because like you can slow roll a wake bait and it can be deadly, know. It's not as fast as ripping a buzz bait around, stuff like that. But, it's like what I like to say is no matter what, have something for like not the bottom and the bottom, if nothing else. Because you can generally take something like a moving bait and run it a little bit higher in the column, run it in the middle. And then even if you have to, like a rattle trap's a really, really good example of this, or even a bladed jig, actually. You make a long cast and you put the rod tip up and you just straight retrieve, that bait is going to rise up higher in the water column. But if you point the rod tip down and you slow it down a little bit, it's going to stay deeper. You can also yo-yo it, make that cast, rip it up, let it sink down. Rip it up, almost like stroking a jig, and don't be afraid to fool around with technique without even changing what it is that you're throwing, without having to grab another combo or something. Try and hit as much as you can. A lot of people, I find their confidence baits are baits that can be fished in various elements of the water column. So you'll find somebody who's like, I love a fluke because I can throw it in, some shit, throw it in some grass, and it's pretty weedless. I can fish it and it's subtle, or I can rip it really fast on the top and it'll work as a subtle topwater bait too.
Yep. Yep. I guess the last bit of advice I can give you, Javi, and this is probably going to make it all worse. The biggest crutch and bad habit that we have as fishermen, especially bass fishermen, is we overthink everything.
Yep.
We absolutely overthink everything. So we're sitting here giving you all those techniques, but what you have to do is, number one, is just go with your gut. Just like you asked us a question from your gut. You're like, man, am I taking too much time? Listen to your gut. If you think you are, then try something else.
Yeah.
Try a million different things. It's we're giving you advice that works for us, but always my big one thing I always try to advocate, because I've gone down the rabbit hole of trying to listen to what everyone else does to catch fish, and it usually just hinders me more than anything. Be your own fisherman, man.
Yeah.
Always figure out what works for you. That's it. You just got to put in the work, and what works for me doesn't always work for Bobby, vice versa. Yep. What I do is not going to always work for you, and vice versa on that. So the biggest thing is just do the work and, figure out what's good for you. What if you always go, but the last thing I can say is just always go with your gut, man. Yeah. Always go with your gut.
And it's funny, Eli posts in here, he goes, I've had to limit myself in what I take out because I switch baits too much. There are folks that just do that. Like, they're like, oh, yeah, I got bit on this. And then they change the bait because they just want to, mix it up. And that's okay.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Well, see, Bobby thinks that's me, very rare. But don't forget, I tournament fish.
Yeah,
so it's
then it's a bit of a different animal. Yeah.
If it's working for me, I usually stick to it. Like, dude, if I catch a nice fish on a wacky rig, I'm probably throwing that all fucking day.
And I'm exactly the same way, but I do currently fish with people who are just like, I didn't get bit on this. And they will change their presentation just because they feel like, maybe they're in the mood for this. And it's okay. That's okay if that's what you want to do. There are other folks that, I was fishing with Binya when we did the slot limit series, and Binya he'll say all day long how bad his ADHD is. Holy shit, he's not lying. This man has what looks like, he's every tackle box opening. He's like, and he'll just oh yeah, they were biting on this, and I want to. It's okay if that's how you want to do it, and you're getting it done. Yes. By all means, you know what I mean? Because for some people, and I like this description. Like, when we fish with artificial lures, it's like we're big kids going out and playing with our toys. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, God, I would love to just get bit on this.
100%.
But also, if it's working, I'm one of those people that's like, all right, so where Joe is saying he'll hold on to that one presentation the whole time. I'll look at, because conditions are going to change. You're going to get, clouds that are going to come in, and it's going to change some stuff. You're going to get some wind that's going to pick up, or maybe you get a little bit of rain. Maybe you get a little fucking rain, and then that's when you start fucking force feeding them a bladed jig. You know what I mean? Things change a little bit. Mm-hmm. So be aware of what it is that you're dealing with, and think about it. Also, when it comes to lures, and what you're choosing to throw in specific cover, think about what they can handle, throwing. I know that when I'm throwing my juvie craws with that open hook and these just rocky flats or into rock piles specifically, I'm tempting fate, and there's only so much. I've retied, you know how many times, Joe, today I retied that juvie craw because it got hung up and my leader went to shit. I probably retied 10 times. Tied a new leader just so I had more to go.
That's so bad. That's one thing I suck at, is retying, and I've paid the price for it on more than one occasion.
I have too. This was the year where I was just like, I'm doing it. I'm making myself do it. So I'll check my leaders and check my lines and make sure that it's not nicked up or anything. I'm maybe a little bit less worried about it when I'm throwing around my jig rod with 20-pound fluoro than when I'm throwing around my bait finesse jig rod with 6-pound fluoro. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. I got you there.
Like, it might just be one of those deals.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Javi says, "Fuck yeah, you guys are awesome. Glad I asked the question. Appreciate you guys, dude. We appreciate you, man, and we appreciate your questions.
We appreciate you. That was such a great question.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so. And Eli, we appreciate.
We love the questions that.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry guys. Bobby and I are kind of talking over each other tonight. We apologize. We're terrible at it tonight. But no, I was just going to say we love the questions that make us think a little bit.
Yep. I love that.
Because we are all learning. We are all learning together.
I love this right here. Eli says, I have started to try and follow the 2 as a pattern more and more. Man, I'm telling you. And then sometimes you're like, you know, like today, it was one of those instances, and it's somewhere in the video. I don't know if it made the cut but I said it to myself. I was like, all right, so that was just a fish. Because I'm like, I know that there are fish here. And I'm throwing this same presentation. Yeah. That was just a fish that was like, and what's funny was that bit came like on the second twitch. It was like right at the second twitch.
That's great.
It was right there. And I'm like, okay, that was probably what it is. I sent a brigade blade flying to the moon after not retying. I was pissed. Yeah, that sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Yep.
I've lost some baits because I didn't retie because I was lazy. I've lost some baits because there was a time when I first started fishing. I threw everything on braid because I'm like, I'm getting this lure back. You know what I mean? I was fishing from the bank, and I'm like, I'm going to rip the fucking branches off of this tree if I have to. It's 30-pound braid.
Yep.
You know, we're going to saw through this motherfucker. But I've also made casts where, like, that line had some abrasion, and I went to go stop it, and it just went bink and kept on flying.
Yep.
Speaking of sending things to the moon or to the crotch, let's pour a little bit out for the Wolf of Marmart who took a chatterbait to the nuts. Yeah, that's got to
probably go and mock Jesus.
That's exactly what he said. It was like, mock Jesus freaking bladed jig to the freaking sack. Thank God he didn't get the hook.
Yeah,
you know, that would have been bad. But
the old Prince Albert.
The old Prince Albert, exactly.
Yogurt slanging.
Dude, I took that. I took that one to the side this year, and that was rough. That was rough.
It hurts, man. It fucking hurts. You know what I'm saying? Jigs especially are just brutal for that. Brutal. Good stuff. I think that's going to do it for tonight's episode, guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Enjoy your long weekend. I do love when the 4th of July is on like a Friday or a Monday and you get that little carryover. That's kind of nice. So this is going to be a really good year. I hope you guys have some fun. If you're out there blowing off fireworks or anything like that, I hope you still have all 10 digits, the next morning. Otherwise, we're going to put it on headlines. Like, let us know. We're going to put it on headlines.
Yes, we are.
And we're going to go
away from the fishing stuff.
We're going to talk shit is what we're going to do. But, as always, you guys are the greatest, and we appreciate you more than you even realize. We're going to go ahead and see you in 7 days with more amazing fishy content. Do yourself a favor and follow both Jigs and Bigs and American Vet Fishing on YouTube. Follow all the socials, Instagram, TikTok, everything. We are on a platform that you enjoy. And that's here to stay. We're going to be all over the place. And, Jigs and Bigs on Instagram has started losing followers, and I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just like, I think some of the bots are disappearing. Just a random, like, whatever.
Oh yeah, I see that too.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, because it's like 50 or 100 that are dropped off, and I'm just like, it doesn't even hurt my feelings anymore, guys. I don't even care. I'm still doing what I'm gonna do. We're gonna talk what we're gonna talk, and we're gonna fish the way we want to fish, and it's all good. July 26th is the next Slot Limit series. Your boy is traveling and going to a body of water he's never fished before. again. But again, he is a moron and does this for the adventure, not for the competition. So it'll be a good time. Go ahead, get yourself registered. I will have all of those links in this episode for you and also at jigsandbigs.com by the time you're hearing this episode, as well as a link for the multi-species scavenger hunt for July as well. That kicks off tomorrow. It kicks off tomorrow, and registration is open. Go ahead, get yourself into it, and we'll make some shit happen, guys. Joe, do you have anything you want to throw up before we call it a night?
That's it, buddy. Good episode. Appreciate it.
I love it. Good stuff, guys. You have yourself a great one. We'll be back in 7 days with more Jigs and Bigs goodness for everybody. You know how it is around these parts. It's like we always say.
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.